tried a bunch of different haircuts for the past few months to see what actually works and what doesn't. So the plan is that we're going to talk about how to cut your hair that best fits your face shape and how to take care of it so that you always have amazing hair. Before we start, my name is Aris, also known as Screw Mediocrity, and I'm a leader of young men trying to pick their attractiveness and help them with their mindset so that they can reach success. So the first thing would be to try to switch different haircuts and different barber. So what I would suggest is to try out a completely different haircut from what you have right now. So if you're not satisfied with what you have, you feel like it's too childish, or you feel like you're just bored of it, you want something else, you want something new, something fresh, that's when you try out something completely different. Like what I've tried is I've gone from like curly hair like a mushroom to trying a slick back with that curly hair, which failed miserably. Like my hair just fell off like a middle part, but a very ugly one, with a lot of my hairs being damaged, and it just didn't look nice. And of course I couldn't take care of it that easily either, so it was just like a no-go. I had to cut the hair short. And then after that, I was like, okay, let me just cut it short. Let's see how it goes. And I told like the next barber that I went to, which is actually my first or one of my first ever barbers I've went to, but I stopped because my dad kept going there. But I thought like, let me change up the barbers, see how the others one work. And now just came back after like 10 years. And before he cut my hair, he was like, okay, you want to do a slick back? I was like, yeah, I want to do like a nice, classy, old money type of slick back. Then he was like, okay. The first cut that he did was fucking atrocious. I'm not even gonna lie. It was so bad. Like, it was just so short. Like, I was not used to it. Because for months, I've just had like long hair. And he said that it was like pretty bad. Some of it was damaged as well. So he had to cut that out. And that's what he did. My hair was like very mid. It was very okay. I'm not gonna lie, like it made me look worse. But then I just let it grow. I was like, okay, let me just let it grow again, like every other haircut I've tried so far. And after like 1 to 2 months, I was like, okay, let me just go back and, just fix it up a little bit, because it became a little better in a way that it just grew out, so it didn't stick out as much in a bad way, right? Because it was like kind of, it's like imagine short hair. If you try to pull it back, it kind of like stands up like spikes. That's how it was. And I didn't really like it because I wanted, the slick back look. I didn't want to like fall in front. I didn't want the fringe. I just wanted it to be slicked back. But that couldn't happen if my hair was that short. So what I did was I went to the barber. I was like, okay, let's do the same exact thing. And just like a nice low fade. That's what I did. And then boom. Just like that, he gave me an amazing haircut. Bro, it was like a 8 out of 10 haircut. Before it was like a 4 out of 10. Now it was like an 8. Huge difference. I just look so much better. And you know what the funny thing is? I just trusted the process. Because like he knows so much more than the other barber did. Because the other barber opened up his barber shop like 1 or 2 years ago. Like in contrast to the other guy who was in the business for like more than 10 years, 20 years. Of course, he knew way more about this stuff. But I didn't trust him in a way that I thought he was like old-fashioned. He didn't know about newer haircuts. But then it's like, bro, he's had so many hairs in the past 10, 20, however many years. He knows so much more than another person. He may just not know the names of the haircuts. If it's fine, if it's thick, if it's curly. He just knows what works for each hair type. So that's what I would suggest for you to do. Don't be afraid to switch barbers here and there if you feel like they're not doing a good enough job. And if you feel like you want a nice change, right? Of course, try out your hairstylist, your barber, whatever. If she cannot cut your hair the way you want it to be cut, then change, bro. Don't even worry about that. Like, a lot of people are trying to stay loyal to barbers, but it's like he or she is not your girlfriend, bro. So don't even worry about that. Like, change up a barber. And like, if there's a huge difference, let's say, for example, right now, hypothetically speaking, you change your barber and you went somewhere else, okay? And that guy just cut your hair amazingly, right? With a lower price, like as well. And it was like closer to your house. Would you switch or would you not? You would be stupid to go to the other barber if they are way more expensive, if they do not cut your hair as good as the other one. So that's why you should go ahead and try different hairstylists, different barbers to see what works and what doesn't. The second thing would be, whenever you get that nice haircut that you always wanted, now we're gonna take care of it. So what you want to do now is, when you're gonna get home, don't use a normal shampoo like a 2-in-1 that most people use, most men use. Buy a non-chemical or like way less chemical shampoo, which I would suggest is a baby shampoo. And believe me, I didn't just pull this out of my ass. My barber told me that. And the barber has like 20, 30 years of experience. So he knows what works and what doesn't. And I was like, okay, that makes sense, right? Because in contrast with the other shampoo that I got from the store, that I used the same one for years, there's a huge difference if I use something way better with less chemicals in it. So that's what I did, and I believe it's a huge switch, which if you can do the same exact thing, is gonna really help your hair to not have as much dandruff as well, and to be much healthier, right? Especially if you have like finer hair like me, it's much better for you to take care of it and look after it a little bit more, only because we're like, none of us want to be bald in the future. So it's much easier to take care of it now while we still have a fuck ton of hair, rather than in 20, 30 years where we're gonna have like 1/3 of the hair. And of course, don't shampoo like every single day. Shampoo like 3 times a week maybe, and 1 or 2 or 3 maybe times don't shampoo your hair, because you want to keep it healthy. You don't want to strip away all the essential oils in your hair. You don't want to do that, right? You don't want to leave it a dry scalp just like that to have dandruff, or like a dry scalp to have like those flakes and shit. You don't want that. You want to be clean. You want to look nice. You don't want to scratch your head all day and, you know, falling like snow all over your shoulders like right now. Like, you don't want that. That's why you want to use a shampoo with less chemicals and take care of your hair way more. After you finish with the shower, when you get out, when you grab that towel, that microfiber towel, right? That big one. Don't be hard on your hair with that harsh material, bro, because it's gonna ruin your hair, right? You don't want it to damage it even more, especially if it's fine, right? Even if it's thick, you don't want to have the possibility of damaging your hair for no reason, just because you want to scrub it really hard for no reason. Like, there's no point in doing that. It's much better for you to just dab it like this, right? So like, try to kind of squeeze out the water of your hair, but don't really just like be harsh on your hair. Don't be hard on it. So just be soft on your hair and let it dry a little bit with the next step that I'm going to tell you right now. So the fourth thing would be to not blow dry your hair with hot air up close, right? Because I'm doing this every single time where I just put it up to the hottest setting and then I just blow dry my hair, right? Just because it's the fastest way to do so. But I don't do it up close so that my hair literally burns, like it damages from the heat. You don't want that to happen. So how do you prevent that? Whenever you're going to be using your blow dryer, put your hand on your hair and try to blow dry from the same distance that you would have otherwise. And if you feel like it's too hot for your hand, you feel like it's burning, then it must be too close to your hair, right? So you should take it a bit like a few centimeters away. That way, you're not going to damage it as much as you would have if it would have been like this close, because you don't want it to be damaged like up close and shit, like damaging your hair, your scalp. So this is one of the fastest ways to avoid damaging your hair. And lastly, number 5 would be to use argan oil. When you're gonna be using argan oil, just know that it's after the shower, right? So when you finish, you use shampoo or whatever, you want to first replenish some of that oil that have been stripped away when you've been using the shampoo. That way, it comes back, right? So it's nice and moisturized, like your scalp basically, and your hair. That's the first thing. The second thing is that if you want to have more of a wet look, then your best option is to use some of that argan oil, because it keeps it short, like there's not much of a volume, and it also keeps that nice wet look, which in my opinion is the best thing you can do without using like extra products for no reason. And of course, if you want to keep that wet look, you then add a type of product on top of your hair, depending on your hair type, okay? So if you have like a fine hair like me, clay, pomade would be the best option, because you want, especially if it's matte, you want it to kind of replace the hairs that are gone, you know, that there's like the gaps and shit, with more of a matte finish. That way it doesn't look like there are like gaps in between. If you have like thicker hair, you can use gel because it doesn't really matter. You have thick hair, it's nice, you know, just put the gel on, it's okay. Of course, if you don't want it to be crispy, then of course using like pomade again or clay, something that doesn't have like a super strong hold is the best option, but the gel is not if you don't want to be like crispy and stuff. If you like this video, subscribe right now, and if you want to maximize your looks in the next 30 days, click the first link in the description to join our movement. There's also a new free course in there to help you start your attractiveness journey right now. Stop wasting time.